And Eckhart, how are you today?
Fabulous. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You hanging in there? How have things been for you over the last feels like forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It feels long, and I'm ready to get back to work. Actually, I've had three or four films that were right on the cusp of going,
Yeah.
and probably more than that. And just they won't go. They just
Wow.
won't go. And it's tough because you know all the people associated with movies somehow everybody's just disappeared,
Yeah.
and I don't know where they've gone. I don't know how they're surviving, and the whole industry as a whole, the fact that, you know, uh, cinemas, that movies might not ever be really seen again in cinemas is a big deal.
It blows me away. I'm part of the Critics' Choice, and I have to tell you, in my lifetime, who would ever thought that something like this would ever happen? Like I was just saying to Stephen that I love the fact that we can connect this way, Zoom. I mean, I'd much rather be sitting in a room with you, but it's really scary to think, even 2 years from now, where are things going to be?
Yeah, the communal, the ritual of going into a theater, movies, making movies for the theater in panoramic,
Yes.
and how the art direction and all that. I don't know how that's going to change. Um, but what's astonishing is that it's just gone.
Yeah. It
Uh,
yeah.
and where are the hairdressers? Where's the makeup? Where are the assistants? Where's camera operators? And
Yeah.
you know, anyway, so I guess they'll figure it out. I always say, there's so much money in movie making that, nobody's going to leave that on the table. They'll
No,
figure.
100%. Well, we will get back. We have to stay positive. But let's talk about this great film because Wander, I loved you in this role. This was, I can't even imagine what your initial reaction was when you read this script, because this character, Arthur, like, he's off the charts crazy, and he has his reasons to be. But what did you think when you first read this?
Well, are you an actor?
I am
Because
not. I know I project as one. No, but I'm not.
the reason why I ask is because any actor who reads a script and gets to do, okay, I'm crazy, I pop pills, I get a limp, and I get an airstream out in the middle of the desert. I mean, all of a sudden, all five senses are popping.
Right.
I want to do this, and the fact then you go on this great thriller. You're in a car, you're doing the road trip.
Yeah.
Now, um, the serious part of this movie is that you just lost your daughter,
Right.
and that your wife is now incapacitated for life, and you have to take care of her and can't afford it, et cetera, et cetera. And you've isolated yourself out of grief, and you can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
But as an actor, you look at that and go, what an opportunity I have on a daily basis to explore myself and explore this character.
Yeah.
Now, April, the director, she calls Arthur her silent warrior. And she paved the way for me to be able to do it. I'll tell you a story. Um, on our first day of filming, it was a beautiful sunny day, and all the crew was there. And she had a tribal elder come out from one of the tribes and his son with a drum,
Yeah.
and they did a dance for us in a prayer and blessed the movie. And then afterwards, for the whole crew, April pointed at me and she said to the crew, "No one talks to him."
Interesting.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
never had that before. I didn't know she was going to say that.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, it was the greatest joy for me
Huh.
because now I had I mean, of course, I talked to people, but I didn't have the responsibility
Yeah.
of being idle chatter and wasting my energy. I could put everything into the character, and nobody expected me to do it either. So if I didn't talk to somebody, everybody knew why. And,
Right.
and April supported that. So really, if you look at it as a director, preparing her crew and the actors for a movie, it's really ingenious. Um, and all the other actors knew it too. So uh, we were pretty much always doing our thing.
Amazing. Yeah. And I would think that you would have to stay in character for this guy because there's so much going on there. And, how do you even like get into his mindset? Or did you just jump right in?
Oh, no. I spent a lot of time because this movie was pushed a couple times. I had a few months to do this. First of all, is movies are always about the worst things. Somebody's always dying or getting killed or on
Yeah.
the got a habit or something.
Yeah.
Um, the death of your daughter and your
Oh,
wife and responsibility, I
yeah.
mean, obviously is tragic. And so, and to add on top of it is to have that instinctual little voice inside of you that telling you something's not right. And then you exploring that and nobody believing it when you
Right.
can see it.
Yeah.
When you were able to connect the dots, put it together, build the picture, and yet nobody believes you and everybody tells you to leave it alone.
Mm,
You're crazy, all this sort of stuff.
yeah.
And it's a strong guy. This is the thing that really got me about the script and the character in the movie was this guy stands up to it. He goes on the journey. He he's ready for the consequences. He's already got nothing else to lose,
Exactly.
and he wins.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really I liked it a lot, I have to say. I was with you the whole time. And it's been what, maybe 17 years since you and Tommy Lee Jones were together in a film, The Missing. I
Yeah.
had to go back and watch because I couldn't even remember if the two of you had scenes together, which you did in the beginning. What is it like to go from that many years of working with that man and
Wow.
then play with him now?
I don't, now that you say that 17 years, I would have never thought that. Um, Tommy is one of America's greatest actors. He's an Academy Award winner. He's an icon.
Yeah.
He himself is a director, a producer. He's gone from small to big films. Um, I don't, and even though he played Two-Face too,
That's
and
right. I was going to say you have the Batman in common
we
too.
didn't talk about that, but
Yeah.
somebody brought that up, but I never thought of any of that. What
Huh.
I thought of was there's Jimmy, my boy, with his Hawaiian shirt and his yellow lens glasses.
Yeah.
That's all I thought about Tommy. Um, and when I, it's interesting though you say that because when I did that movie with Tommy, I had done movies and had success a little bit, but then you're working with Ron Howard in that movie. Kate
Yes.
was in that movie. There's a lot of heavyweights in that movie.
Big time.
Yeah, big time heavyweights.
Yeah.
And I was younger. I was probably a little bit more scared of Tommy at that time, a little bit more sort of in awe than I
Yeah.
was this time, only because I've just, it was 17 years ago. Um, but I tell you, when that happens, I never let them get the better of me in the sense that I never let the awe get the better of me. When I
Yeah.
show up to work, I work. You could say the same thing about Julia Roberts or Nicole Kidman or whoever I've worked with.
Yeah.
They're all heavy hitters, Nicholson, um, throughout my career. I
Yeah.
think
You've worked with some good people, I have to say.
yeah, it's good. But the thing is, you can be in awe all the way up until they say action.
Action, right?
But after action, you got to tear them apart.
But Tommy Lee Jones does
And
not suffer fools.
if you
Listen,
do,
we've all been in the seat opposite Tommy Lee
oh,
Jones. And if you don't, he was my very first junket. Okay, my very first, almost 30, over 30 years ago. And it would take me an hour to tell you the whole story. But the bottom line is, I walk in that room shaking like a leaf because I had been warned. The person before me walked out almost in tears. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give him a good question. And if he doesn't like it, what can I do? And thank God, Aaron, I did. And I had every single time I've interviewed Tommy Lee Jones, I personally never have had a problem. But yeah, I was walking shaking with him because he likes to play with us as the media, you know. But I was going to ask you this because we don't have that much more time. But you have a podcast with him in the movie. What would a real podcast be like between you and Tommy Lee Jones? What would you do?
I think a real one actually would. Tommy is an accomplished rancher,
Yeah.
and he knows everything about cows and grass and fences and irrigation line. And I know a little bit about that stuff too. And so we'd probably do a podcast on ranching.
Be good.
Nobody would listen to it. You know what I would like to do? Because I like to be around world-class actors. I like to hear their stories. If I'm in front of Sean or Jack or whoever it is,
Yes.
tell me a story. Tell me a story. How did it used to be?
Oh,
How'd you do it before cell phones? How'd you do it before this? How'd you do that? In fact, I could tell you a good story about Jack, but I always like to get to know what they think about things
yes.
and their stories. I said to Jack one time, he blew Benicio del Toro's brains out on a wall, and he goes up and he looks and he finds his tooth embedded in the wall. This is in The Pledge. And after the scene was over, I said, Jack, what were you thinking? What were you thinking when you were looking at the tooth in the wall? What were you thinking? And he goes, I counted to 10.
Wow. See, I could sit here and talk to you for 3 hours, Aaron. This would be like, oh my God. See, that would be an amazing podcast. And you're right. You should host it and get all your pals to tell these old stories. That would be genius.
Fascinating.
Oh,
I shouldn't do it. I mean, if you get Jack to do it, or if you get Sean to do it, or somebody who really, you know, but somebody a little older,
Al
you know,
Pacino. Al Pacino.
Chino, De Niro. I mean, get them and so because that's a legacy that will be
Yeah.
forgotten.
Well,
If they don't write
exactly.
it down, it's gone.
Yes. Well, I've been saying that to Dustin Hoffman for years. That guy's got a book in him like there's no tomorrow. But yeah, I agree. Listen, I know really quickly too. You have an AMC series coming out as well. Pantheon. What's
I'm
the deal with
I'm
that?
in a series called Pantheon, which is a very smartly brilliant. I don't know if they call it. It's an animated.
Yes, that's so cool. Like the voice cast is amazing. Are you done that? Because I would think that you'd be able to do that during pandemic because
I'm doing
you
it
just
in my.
need your voice.
I do it. I have a closet that I have a microphone in, and we're all doing our voices from around the world.
Amazing. Wow, that's so cool. And I know also with this too, with April Mullen, I mean, obviously our the director of Wander who lives in Niagara Falls, our Canadian gal who's so amazing. So you had to do some post, like to finish this film as well, you had to be
On
very creative.
Oh, yeah, I did actually. I remember I was in a hotel room in Arizona. I was down in Phoenix for a day. April, April texts me and says, "Aaron, can you lay down these lines?" So I went in the bathroom at the Hamptons Inn and did, I think, most of the voiceover for the movie in my phone. Um,
Amazing.
it's a new world.
It's a new world. You got to do what you got to do. Listen, I always love talking to you. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for your time today, Aaron. And best of luck with this film. Honestly, it's so good and it's so different. And I love that you did it. Thank you so much.